Deep history. I have been fascinated by ancient civilizations since I was a little kid. I would spend hours reading about the Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Romans. I had a particular interest in their art and culture. I would look at the statues and the paintings and try to imagine what life was like in those times. When I was 12 years old, my family decided to move to Europe for a year so that my dad could work on an international project. And we were gone. I used that opportunity to travel around and see all the famous landmarks that I had been reading about. The trip started out well enough. We went to Italy and saw the Colosseum and the Pantheon. Then we went to Greece and I got to see the Acropolis and the Parthenon. But when we got to Egypt, everything changed. As soon as we arrived in Cairo, I could feel that something was different. There was a heaviness in the air and a sense of mystery that I had never experienced before. When we got to the pyramids, I was in awe. They were even more impressive than I had imagined. As I stood there looking at them, I could feel a connection to the past that I had never felt before. I could sense the presence of the ancient Egyptians all around me. It was as if they were watching me from the shadows, observing me and waiting for me to uncover their secrets. Over the next few days, I explored the pyramids and the surrounding area. I found a small village near the pyramids where people still lived in the traditional Egyptian-style houses made of mud brick. I learned about their way of life and how it had changed over the centuries. I also visited the Great Sphinx and the Valley of the Kings. As I explored Egypt, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. I knew that I was only scratching the surface of this ancient civilization, and that there was so much more to learn. When it was time to leave, I was heartbroken. I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay in Egypt and learn more about its rich history and culture. But as the years passed, my interest in ancient Egypt did not fade. In fact, it only grew stronger. I began to study the Egyptian language and culture in school, and I read every book I could find about ancient Egypt. I learned about the hieroglyphics and the myths and legends of the pharaohs. I was fascinated by the stories of Tutankhamun and Cleopatra, and I was amazed by the beauty of the artifacts that had been discovered. As I grew older, I realized that my passion for ancient Egypt was more than just a childhood fascination. It was a calling. I knew that I had to go back to Egypt and continue my studies there. So when I graduated from university, I decided to move to Cairo. When I told my friends and family about my plans, they were very supportive. They knew how passionate I was about ancient Egypt, and they encouraged me to follow my dreams. Moving to Cairo was the best decision I ever made. I was able to immerse myself in the culture and history of this amazing country, and I learned so much. In the years that I have been here, I have met some amazing people who have taught me so much about ancient Egypt. I have seen things that I never imagined possible, and I have experienced a culture that is so different from my own. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to study ancient Egypt, and I hope that I can continue to do so for many years to come. I hope that you, too, will visit Egypt and experience all that this amazing country has to offer.